Big Brother is watching technology in the 21st century, the prevalence of social media, and its impact on America and really the planet. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of 11 TV Hill. I'm Jason Newton, and Facebook, and Twitter, Instagram, and others, they are mainstays in America right now. Good, bad, or indifferent, social media isn't going anywhere soon, and it's really left its mark for generations to come. To call it humble beginnings would be an understatement. Remember bulletin boards? Millennials, you probably don't, but this was the precursor to what has you tweeting and snapping on your phone today. Back in the day, interaction was a new idea in computing. In the 1960s, services like CompuServe, then America Online, by the early 90s, they really took interaction and ran with it, introducing mail and messaging and groups as well. The internet and social media then went high speed in the early 2000s. It's marked by the emergence of Friendster and MySpace, and then the once exclusive club strictly for Harvard students, which by 2006 became public, Facebook. Its pictures and posts and sharing kept you connected, and one button alone showed the world that you approved with one single like. And what we really came to like about 2006, brevity, the call of a songbird in just 140 characters, a tweet was born. The hashtag haven ranges from what you may have had to breakfast to breaking news around the world. And now we're mobile. Instagram and Snapchat proving that images are just as powerful as words, with live feeds of your life and really the world around you all right in the palm of your hand. Now, at the start, social media was a virtual yearbook, and who really hasn't looked up an old classmate or a neighbor as well? But soon, corporate America began to take notice of this meeting place for would-be consumers. Jingles were replaced with Twitter handles, and your screen suddenly became surrounded by ads. Even companies like our own not only drive you to our Facebook and Twitter pages, but now we're asking you to interact. Global brands and celebrities have been born on social media, just ask the Kardashians. According to a Forbes magazine article from December of last year, Khloe Kardashian, look at that number, with her 17 million followers, set to make $13,000 per endorsement tweet. Let's talk about her older sister Kim, with her 37.9 million followers, rumored to make a whopping $200,000 per endorsement tweet. Well, let's bring in our guests, who probably don't make that kind of money, to discuss this a little bit. We have Carsonia Wise-Whitehead, Associate Professor over at Loyola University of Maryland. She's a historian who specializes in political environments and social arenas. Also, Bill Sigline, he's the founder of CISO Executive Network, is an expert on an advisor on cybersecurity, privacy, and governance as well. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. Let's talk about social media. For better or worse, it's really changed the way that we communicate in general. But are we getting too comfortable with it, do you think, as we put information out there?
I think so. I complain about that all the time.
Yeah.
That people feel the urge to share everything. When I teach my students, because I do teach communication, I said there was once a time when you had your private life and your public life. Yeah. Your public life when you left the home, when you went to the store, when you went to school, and you were always in control of your public life. But as soon as we allow technology into our homes, into our pockets, into our purses, and beside our beds, all of a sudden there is no separation between public and private. That you interrupt the private moment to I guess, tweet a picture of your food, as if everyone should see the food you're having, or the one that gets me, that when people are tweeting in the moments of grief. So my grandmother just died, and I'm sharing this on Twitter, I'm sharing this on Facebook, and that open access that we're giving people to our lives is really interesting to me, and it's hard to explain, like, what is happening with society where we don't want to separate public and private anymore.
Sure. Interesting. I think it's careless. Yeah, Bill?
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, I think about how I bounce back and forth between my LinkedIn account for my professional life and my Facebook account for my personal life, and actually thinking about which thing I'm going to post in each of those two things. And sometimes they cross over. You know, I try to always keep personal on Facebook and very professional on LinkedIn, but a lot of people aren't. LinkedIn, for example, has become a place where people are posting a lot more personal information.
I noticed,
I'm starting to say to people, hey, you know, this would be a great post in your Facebook account. Maybe not here for your professional society, but it's all immediate too, right?
Yeah.
It's instantaneous, and there's sort of no fact-checking in anything that happens online anymore.
Speaking of fact-checking, as we talk about WikiLeaks now, a lot of stuff has come out during the election, and I think it's taught us a lot about safety and confidentiality. What have we learned so far right now?
I think we've learned that consider nothing private, right? And it's a little scary that a foreign government, we're assuming that the Russians were the ones that hacked into the DNC and some other places, that they may affect our presidential election for the first time in history. It's kind of scary.
Okay, as you talk to students, I mean, does it worry you?
Well, it does worry me because as I tell my students that every time you talk, you run the risk of someone videotaping you and audio taping you and sharing that without your permission. When I train teachers around the country, it's actually frightening. I mean, I'm looking at the bigger idea of WikiLeaks and what's happening there, but in a smaller sense, if you are a teacher, if you are a pastor, if you're in front of a crowd, anytime you speak, you run the risk of being videotaped and having that shared. So we look at Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, who are under the spotlight, right? So there's some type of expectation that everything they do is being watched and being followed and being tracked. It's different when you're an individual. And you say something off the cuff, it may not be correct, you really haven't checked all your facts, and it shows up without your permission online, and it goes viral. Like, I get very concerned when people take pictures of someone on the bus and they add a horrible statement, and it goes viral. That is your picture attached to a very nasty comment without your permission. So I don't know how we pull that back. I understand the public sphere, you're running for office, nothing is private when you're running for office. What about individuals? Like, what part of my life should not be allowed to be posted without my permission?
And as it goes viral, you just click that person's name, and now you get closer and closer to where they live, what their family looks like. That's a little disturbing.
Yeah, and I think people don't consider that, especially millennials don't necessarily consider the fact that everything they post is sort of forever when it's on the internet. And even though I guess it's Snapchat says that, well, it disappears instantly. Not really, it's somewhere.
What is that? Because older folks will, my parents, I'm sorry I called you older folks, they will not put out very personal things. My nephews or cousins, you know their whole day from the moment they woke up to the time they go to bed. How is our society changing?
Well, I think on one end you have, you know, the boomers, right, who grew up before technology. I mean, I tend to call them, and I don't mean this in an offensive way, but in class we talk about the cyber dinosaurs, right?
They are, I agree.
Who are stumbling into social media. It's my grandmother who used to send me a text in all capital letters. I'm like screaming every time you do this, Nana. But her not seeing that, this is a part and extension of who she is. You have the millennials on the other end. I mean, they grew up with being introduced to technology with Facebook, probably in middle school, maybe early high school, and now they're in college and it's a part of your life. The ones I'm very concerned about is the generation after them, right? The ones that we call the say nothing generation. The ones who have, you know, the Facebook cube in the crib with them, and every time they kick the cube, it takes a selfie and uploads a selfie to their mom's Facebook page as if we need to see our kids sleeping 24/7. So those are the ones I'm concerned about. And then you have people like me, what I call us the sandwich generation, right? So we've come into technology, and I listened to you talk about LinkedIn and Facebook. I started thinking, okay, so I have LinkedIn, I have Facebook, I have a Facebook fan page, I have Twitter, I have academia.edu, I have my blog space, I blog for the Maryland Humanities Council. I mean, it's just, I'm thinking about how deep my cyber footprint goes and how I am constantly having to monitor it to see, did I put the right thing out? Do I need to change it? What else is being said about me? It's a full-time job, one that I've happily taken on because I work in communication, but I would think about people who are not kind of fact-checking themselves that much and how stuff is getting kind of convoluted.
Here's a security question for you. I know Cyber Maryland's having a convention right now. Let's talk about in your home, because they're talking about something broad that can come right down to my wireless router, say. We need to safeguard some of this stuff.
Yeah, again, you think security controls are there to protect your privacy and privacy settings on things like Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and all of that. You know, most people don't take time to read the end user license agreement. And when you're out on social media and you just click OK, if you actually read some of those things, I mean, here's a crazy example. When you accept the end user license agreement for iTunes, there's a sentence in there that says, you agree to not make or distribute nuclear weapons.
Really?
Now, you know they just stuck that in there to be silly, but that's in there. Who read that? Who's reading that? So you've agreed you're going to make your stuff public, but all of a sudden people say, well, wait a minute, I didn't really realize that. I'm backing off that. I want to change my settings now. And sometimes it's difficult to change those settings. We talk about millennials. A quick example, my son's 24 years old. When he graduated college, he decided to change the spelling of his name on Facebook because he knew future employers would look at his Facebook account. He suddenly realized the importance of privacy, maybe a little too late.
Oh my